All right, so good morning, everyone. Today we will meet again with another subject or another different materials, um, which is centralization and decentralizations. So actually, in the past or in the previous materials, I already told you that in the next meeting you will learn more about the centralization and decentralization, because when we talk about the relationship between central government and also the um, local government in Indonesia itself, so we ever apply or we ever implemented the centralization during the Suharto and also decentralization during the post reform. And then, so what is the centralization and decentralization? Actually, we will learn more about this topic today. And to deliver this materials, I just give you two example picture here that actually the differences of the centralization and decentralization is on this picture. Well, centralization and decentralization are two modes of working in any organization. In centralization, there is a hierarchy of formal authority. Um, in centralization, it's only one command, or we call it hierarchy of formal authority for making all important decisions for the organization, including governmental organization. While in decentralization, is decision making is left for the lower level of the organization. Well, actually, a simple way to understand if an organization, including in government, is working in a centralized or decentralized manner is by looking at two important aspects. So the first, the place of decision making authority in the hierarchy of the management, it is called the centralization. But for the degree of decision making power at the lower echelons or lower position in the organization, we call it decentralizations. Just it. So, well, actually, an organization has a greater degree of decentralization if the number of decision made and function affected the lower level are higher. And that's the point here I would like to talking about. So let's see the next. Well, we will discuss about the centralization first. So here the centralizations comes from English, which is rooted from the word center, which means the center or middle. Centralization is actually, as I mentioned before, that centralizing all authority to a small number of managers or who are at the top of an organizational structure. Centralization was widely used in the old government in Indonesia before regional autonomy, or before the decentralization, or before the territorial autonomy. So actually, if we see the picture here, and then if we um, see the definition about the centralization, one thing that you have to know, that you have to remember is that for the decision making, the system of centralization is by the top-down approach or top-down system. And actually, centralization also is the process by which the activities of an organization, particularly those regarding planning and decision making, framing strategy, and policies, become concentrated within a particular geographical location group. The move the important decision making and planning powers within the center of the organization. Well, the term has a variety of meanings in several fields. For example, is in political science, centralizations refer to the concentration of the government power, both geographically and politically, in a centralized government. So that's the key point. And what is the terminology of the centralization? Based on the Marbun in his political dictionary, um, say that centralization, which we know as the centralism, is a state pattern that focus all the political, economic, and social decision making in one center. So the keyword here is one center. So centralization is one center. Centralization also is the entire central government authority. The centralized system means that all decision or policies are issued or are made by the center, and and the region or the local government just waiting for instruction from the center to implement the policy that have been outlined according to the law. Well, if we back to the history of the centralization of authority, actually the centralization of authority is defined as the systematic and consistent concentration of the authority at the central point or in a person with the organization. The the idea of the centralization of the authority is the act for the implementation are needed after delegation. Therefore, the authority for taking the decision can be spread with the help of the delegation of the authority. Well, the centralization of authority can be done immediately if complete concentration is given at the decision-making stage for any position. The centralization can be done with a position or at a level in organization. Ideally, the decision-making power is held by a few individuals. That's why I say that it called the top-down. Well, for the theoretically, centralization has advantage and also disadvantage. For the advantage itself, if you just remember about the centralization, again, centralization refers to the process in which activities involving planning and decision making within organization are concentrated to a specific leader. In a centralized organization, decision making powers are retained in the head office, and all other office receive the command from the main office. So here, if we just looking for the advantage for the centralization, and if you remember, I said that Suharto's era, we just know and then we just implement the centralization. So first, organization become leaner and more efficient because the entire organizational can be effectiveness is a centralized so that decision making is easier. Well, it's actually focused on the vision because when an organization like a government organization follows a centralized management structure, it can be focused on the fulfillment of its vision with ease. There are clear lines of communication, and the senior executive or maybe in a leader can communicate the organization vision to the employee and guide them toward the achievement of the vision. In the absence of the centralized management, there will be inconsistency in relaying the message to employees because there are no clear lines of the authority. So Directing the organization vision from the top allows for a smooth implementation of vision and the strategies. That's the advantage, and then that's the like what the organization become efficient and also effective. Second one, the planning and organizational development is more integrated. There is no need for coordination levels that are too far away between the decision-making units and those who will implement or be affected by the decision-making. It means that it's a word or it's a statement refers to the quick implementation of decisions. So, in a centralized organization, decisions are made by a small group, only a small group of people, and then communicated to the lower level managers. So, the involvement of only a few people make the decision-making process more efficient since they can discuss the detail of each decision in one meeting. The decisions are then communicated to the lower levels of the organization for implementation. If a lower level managers are involved in the decision-making process, the process will be take longer and conflicts will arise. That will make the implementation process lengthy or very long and complicated because some managers or some leaders may object to the decision if their input is ignored. So it's it makes to take the decision making or important decision making to be fast, because as I mentioned before that if it is like um, involvement many people, so maybe it will uh, make the conflict arise. So the third one is increasing resource sharing and synergy. The resource can be managed more effectively because they are done by because they are done more centrally. Well, actually, this one, and then for the fourth reason or fourth advantage about reduction of asset and other facilities, one asset can be used together without having to provide the same asset for different jobs, improve the coordination and concentration of expertise. It means that the centralization try to improve quality of work because the standard procedures and better supervision in a centralized organization result in improving quality of work. There are supervisors in each department who ensure that the output are uniform and high quality. So actually, the purpose of the centralization is to make the all a policy is uniform, and the use of advanced equipment reduce potential wastage from manual work and also help warranty high quality work. All right, so beside that, the advantage of the centralization is give the beneficial. First, it can be responsibilities and duties are well defined with the central governing body, and decision making is very direct and clear because it's only a small group that make the decision making or make the policy. And then the third one is the central power maintains a large encompassing interest in the welfare of the state. It rules since it stands to benefit from any increase in the state's wealth and power. In this sense, the incentive of the state and ruler are aligned. So what about the weaknesses of the centralization or disadvantage for for centralization. Actually, um, first, it it makes the possibility decrease in decision making speed and decision quality, because decision making with a centralized approach often does not consider the factor that might influence the decision making. So it means, as I mentioned before, it means the approach for the decision making is only for the top down. Well, actually, if we see the top-down levels, so like a government or people in the central government just know without the detailed information. So that's like you know remote control, because the organization executive or maybe the leader are under tremendous pressure to formulate decision for the organization, and they lack control over the implementation process, because the failure of the executive to decentralize the decision making process add a lot of work to their desk, and the executive suffer from a lack of time to supervise the implementation of the decision. This leads to reluctance and the part of employees. Therefore, the executive or the leadership may be end up making too many decisions that are either poorly implemented or ignored by the employee. So, um, demotivation and this incentive for organizational unit development, organization members find it difficult to develop their potential because there is no vehicle, and to dominate of the leadership is too high. Yeah, like I mentioned before, about the remote control or bureaucrat, or we can call it the bureaucratic leadership, because centralized management resemble a dictatorial form of leadership where employees are only expected to deliver results according to what the top executive assigned them. So employees are unable to contribute the decision-making process of the organization, and they are merely implementers of decision made at a higher level. When the employees face difficulties in implementing some of the decision, the executive or the leader will not understand, because they are only decision makers and not implementers of the decision. So the result of such action is a decline in performance, because the employees lack the motivation to implement decision taken by the top level managers without the input of lower level employees, or even the citizen. So another disadvantage or weaknesses for the um, centralization is decreased speed to the response to environment change, increased management complexity, a broad perspective but lacking in depth. Yeah, it means that it makes the lack of employee loyalty, because employees become loyal to the organization when they are allow personal initiative in the work they do. They can introduce their creativity and suggest ways of performing certain tasks. However, in centralization, there is no initiative in work, because employees perform tasks conceptualized by the top executive or top level. This limited their creativity and loyalty to the organization due to the rigidity of the work. Well, if we are talking about the advantage or the disadvantage, also we still have the positive and the negative impact of centralization. If we see the economic aspect, so actually economic aspect, from the economic point of view, the positive effect given by the centralized system is the economy is more directed and orderly, because in this system only the center can regulate the economy. Meanwhile, the negative impact is, if the regions are only used as a cash flow and are not allowed to regulate their prospective economic policy, so that there is a financial concentration in the central government. So actually, uh, uh, if we see the positive impact, yeah, again, only central can regulate the economy, because centralization want to make the all policy as a uniform or same. And then second one, socio-cultural aspect. With the implementation of the centralized system, the cultural differences possessed by the Indonesian nation can be united, so that each region does not emphasize each other culture and prioritize the motto of unity in diversity, which is owned by the Indonesian nation. We call it Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. So yeah, again, meanwhile we have the positive uh, impact or positive aspect, the negative aspect or the negative impact still exists of the system, because it means that the dominant in driving all the state activities, the dominance of the central government over the local government has eliminated the existence of the region as a local government structure that has its own unique socio-culture dynamics. So yeah, like you know, if we are talking about the local government, maybe in Sumatra, in Java, they have the different culture, and then maybe can develop. But because the regulation in the top level, so it means that every region cannot any region cannot show up their social culture that they have. And about the security and political aspect, the positive impact that is felt is that the security is more secure, because during the implementation of the system, conflicts between regions rarely occurred, which could disrupt the stability of Indonesian national security. So, in this aspect, I agree that the uh, the security and a political aspect, I mean, like for the security and make the stability in Indonesian national security, I believe that it be like being positive for the Indonesia, because as we know that in the last year, maybe in 2019, we still see the conflict between regions. But yeah, because we use the decentralization, but I think it's better for the Indonesian use the centralization system for the security aspect, because it can make the conflict between regions rarely occurred. So we move to the decentralization. Actually, I already mentioned that central decentralization is try to give the central government, central government authority to the local government. Well, actually, this decentralization is the process by which the activities of an organization, particularly those regarding planning and decision making, are distributed or delegated away from a central authorities location or group. Well, actually, concept of decentralization have been applied to a group dynamics and management science in private business and organization, political science, our department, and public administration, economics, money, technology, and so on and so forth. Well, Indonesia is currently pursuing the most rapid and widespread decentralization effort ever in history, driven by regional um, political force that have emerged since the fall of the centralistic and authoritarian Suharto government. Yeah, as I mentioned before, because um, we have a lot of negative effect or negative side from the centralization. So that's why we moved to the decentralization after Suharto's government. So yeah, in the second paragraph, I just mentioned that in the past, dissatisfaction has arisen due to the central government control over revenues from natural resources in the region and the government in insensitivity to interregional differences. And fueled by the crisis and the political upheaval that follow, Indonesia is now taking giant steps in political and fiscal decentralization. And all right, so if we are talking about the overview of the decentralization itself, well, uh, uh, those study the goals and process of implementing decentralization often use a system theory approach. The UN or the United Nations Development Program reports that apply to the topic of decentralization a whole system perspective, including levels, spared, sector and function, and saying the community level as the entry point, which holistic definition of development goals are from the people itself, and where it is most practical to support them. So actually, what is the goals of decentralization? The goals Actually, decentralization in any area is a response to the problem of centralized system. Again, because uh, there are many problems in centralized system. So decentralization in government, the topic most studies, has been seen as a solution to the problems like economic decline, government inability to fund service, and their general decline in perform of overload services. The demand of minority for a greater say in a local governance, the general weakening legitimate of the public sector, and global and international pressure on the countries which inefficient, undemocratic, overly centralized system. Right, so that's the goal of the decentralization. So actually, decentralization, again, I mentioned that delegation of the authority to regional government or local government to achieve an efficient government. So according to the Smith 1985, there are several characteristics of a decentralization system. First, existence of the authority of local governments. Second, creation of political variety. Yeah, because as you know that if we looking back to the Suharto era, it's only two political party. But now, if we see in maybe 2020 or maybe in the presidential election in 2019, so there are a lot of political party, and the existence of the authority to set concentrate in individual legal norm. Well, yeah, um, decentralization has now become a universally accepted principle of the government administration with various form of application in each country. This is in accordance with the fact that not all government affairs can be carried out a centralized manner, given the I think Indonesia is including because the geographical condition, the complexity of the community development, the plurality of local social and cultural structure, and the demand for the democratization in the government administration. So yeah, if in the second paragraph I say that participatory model, it means that decentralization wants to make the citizen participation. So in decentralization, the principle of subsidiarity is often invoked. It holds that the lowest or least centralized authority that is capable of addressing an issue effectively should do so. Well, decentralization is often linked to concept of participation in decision making, democracy, equality, and liberty from a higher authority. So decentralization enhances the democratic voice. Theorists believe that local representative authorities with actual discretionary powers are the basis of the decentralization that can lead to local efficiency, equity, and development. So yeah, that's we need decentralization. So actually the decentralization can be seen if there is participation by the citizen. It means that it decentralization it's already tried to do the participatory model approach. Well, um yeah, we also have the advantage and disadvantage of the decentralization. Actually, the advantage is the first, the organizational structure is the delegation authority and lightening the management of the central government, reducing the accumulation of jobs in the central government, because if all in central government, so the central government will very very busy organization. But uh, if we have the decentralization, it can be reduce the job of the central government. And the facing urgent problem, local government do not need to wait until long for the instruction from the central government, because harmony, relationship, and a passion for work between central and local government can be improved, increase efficiency, and in all matters, especially government administrator, both central and regional, can reduce bureaucracy in a bad sense because decision can be implemented immediately. While how about the weaknesses of decentralization? First, it makes the balance and harmony of goals can be easily distracted, because like for example, maybe the regional or local government have different goals from the central government, so it can be distracted. And decentralization can give a rise to the regional characteristic. It takes a lot of time for negotiation or deliberation because a lot of stage of the decentralization, and it costs a lot of money. And the size of the government organs has made the government structure more complex, very very complex. And it is obvious that coordination will not run smoothly because many people uh, because many people you know involved in decision making. But here I can uh, you know if the advantage and disadvantage of decentralization, I can give you one sentence or one point here. First, the advantage of a decentralized system is that some decision and policies that exist in the regions can be made in the region without the intervention of the central government, because again, for the decentralization, a local government can make the policy by themselves. But again, should suitable with the central government goals. And for the disadvantage, the drawback of a decentralization system, that in certain regions, this authority only benefits certain parties or group and is used for profit by individuals. So this happened because it is difficult to control by the central government. Okay, how to achieve good local government? So there are many main principles that must be considered. First, the creation of local democracy is the main one, which in this case includes institution and local representative elected by local communities, efficiency and effectiveness of local government, the principle of rule of law should be, improve, and also the please make the corruption eradication. So the important thing is to achieve local government. By local government, there must be development of local government capacity that includes local government reform, increase organizational capacity in the formulation of policy making and public services, stable and sound local government financial condition, and capacity building of local civil servant. That's the point. And then the second point is that the local government reform in the several ways adopted the following step. For example, cutting costs, restructuring, privatization, task implementation indicators, and also, of course, they should have the policy evaluation. In such a reform, the elements that must be considered are regional civil servant and local communities, the development of the capacity. These two elements is crucial to the functional of local governance. So actually, if we see the decentralization disadvantage, as we see before, yeah, you should remember that there will be participation, there will be diversity, and then maybe conflict, but we hope that every conflict in decentralization system can be have the resolution. So actually, uh, okay, we have the disadvantage for the decentralization, but uh, I agree that decentralization is the best way to run the government in Indonesia now. But what about you? Do you think that decentralization is better than centralization, or maybe centralization is better than decentralization? I hope we can learn more and then discuss more tomorrow class with a Zoom platform. So that's all for my presentation. And then maybe if you still have any question, just let me know. And then please um, uh, stay healthy. And then I hope that you will get the benefit from this video. And then if any comments, just comments. And then if any question, please let me know. Thank you so much. I see you in the next video and then next discussion. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye bye.